Although the same can't be said for about 24 other people here in Japan in the last decade, who've all fallen victim to poorly prepared dishes of this potentially toxic fish.
Throughout history, people have eaten some truly strange things, foods that might make us cringe today. From the peculiar dishes of Victorian England to the bizarre delicacies of ancient Egypt, our ancestors had some adventurous tastes.
If you want to keep them through till Michaelmas, then there is one more source of free food to fatten up your booth.
Sometimes it was a matter of survival, while other times it was sheer curiosity that led them to try these unusual foods. But what really drove them to experiment with such bizarre fare? And how would our modern taste buds handle these weird and wild flavors from the past? Join us as we delve into creepy foods people ate throughout history. The tapeworm diet. In Victorian England, some people tried a dangerous weight loss method known as the tapeworm diet. This involved swallowing a pill containing a tapeworm egg, hoping the parasite would consume the food in their stomach and help them lose weight. Once they reached their desired weight, they attempted to remove the tapeworm using various methods.
You may not lose weight until you remove the parasite, because as the parasite eats, it grows and it has weight as well.
Despite its risks, this bizarre and harmful practice still exists in some forms today. Fugu, Japan's deadly delicacy. Fugu, or pufferfish, is a highly toxic delicacy in Japan, with a history dating back 2,300 years. Despite its dangers, Japanese cooks have learned to prepare it safely by carefully removing toxic parts.
After eating this, it's like suddenly my muscles aren't working. I can't move.
Yes, pufferfish poison is very, very dangerous. The poison hit my muscle quickly.
Once a staple of the elite during the Heian period, it was banned in the early 1600s due to safety concerns. Today, chefs must undergo rigorous training to serve fugu, making it a thrilling yet risky dining experience. Mad honey, a historical weapon.
Poisonous rhododendron honey tastes pretty good.
In 67 BC, Roman soldiers encountered a deadly surprise while invading the Black Sea coast of Turkey, mad honey. This honey, made by bees pollinating rhododendron flowers, contains a potent neurotoxin. As the Roman troops indulged in the honey left by King Mithridates IV's men, they began to hallucinate, becoming disoriented and sick. Mithridates' forces then easily defeated the incapacitated Romans. Mad honey remains a rare and expensive delicacy today. Roti sans pare, a dish where 17 different birds are stuffed inside one another, creates a culinary spectacle. This monstrous feast, known as roti sans pare, began with a tiny warbler and ended with a massive bustard. Each bird was carefully placed in a specific order, making it a true challenge to prepare. This extravagant roast, similar to today's turducken, was a show of excess that few would dare to replicate. Diseased meat in Victorian Britain. In Victorian Britain, poor people often faced the tough choice of eating cheap meat from animals that died of diseases like ringworm or tetanus, known as broxy. Without modern food safety standards, farmers and butchers sold this risky meat. While some of it might have tasted normal when cooked, the thought of eating diseased meat was hard to ignore, reflecting the harsh realities of the time. Cockatrice. The 18th century dish called cockatrice was inspired by the mythical creature, a mix of rooster, bat, pig, and lizard. Cooks tried to recreate this beast by combining the top half of a roasted rooster with the bottom half of a suckling pig, then stuffing and roasting the creation. This dish, though not quite as bizarre as the mythical beast, was an extravagant attempt at culinary creativity. Century eggs, a Chinese delicacy.
Holy shit, I think this actually is a 1,000-year egg.
Century eggs, a unique Chinese delicacy, have a history that dates back around 500 years. Legend says a farmer found duck eggs in a muddy pool mixed with lime. Curious, he tasted one and discovered its savory, almost meaty flavor. He later recreated the process by coating eggs in a lime mixture, wrapping them in rice straw, and sealing them in clay pots. After months of preservation, the century egg, with its distinctive dark, translucent appearance, was born. Bird's nest soup, a Chinese luxury.
This is the creme de la creme of bird's nest, earning up to $5,000 a kilogram, and the reputation of being the caviar of the East. Soup's a bit sweet, but the bird's nest itself, pretty much tasteless.
Bird's nest soup, a prized delicacy in China, is made from the nests of swiftlets. Birds build their nests from sticky saliva that hardens in the air. Harvesting these nests is dangerous, as they are often collected from high cliffs. The nests are cleaned, soaked, and simmered in broth to make the soup. Valued for its supposed health benefits, bird's nest soup is a luxury enjoyed only by the wealthy, including Empress Dowager Cixi of the Qing dynasty. Chocolate with ambergris. A luxury dessert of the time was chocolate mixed with ambergris. Ambergris, a rare substance from whale vomit, was valued for its unique scent and used to enhance flavors. Despite its unpleasant origin and waxy texture, 18th century Americans considered the combination of chocolate and ambergris both rich and delightful, showcasing a rather peculiar taste in gourmet treats. Mice as food and medicine in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, mice were not only eaten, but also used in medicine. They were believed to help treat excessive salivation in children. This unusual remedy highlights the Egyptians' resourcefulness with available resources. If mice weren't to your taste, hedgehogs were also on the menu. Egyptians were familiar with desert and long-eared hedgehogs, which appeared in amulets and tomb paintings, showing their cultural significance. Ancient Egyptian cuisine. Ancient Egyptian cuisine varied greatly based on wealth and social status. While peasants and slaves had a simple diet of fruits, vegetables, fish, and occasional meat, the wealthy enjoyed more exotic dishes. Despite the differences, both rich and poor might have eaten unusual foods, such as rodent fillets, which could seem strange today but were considered a delicacy back then. Native American alligator hunting and cuisine. On the East Coast, the Seminole tribe of Florida, known for never signing a treaty with the U.S. government, have been alligator hunters for thousands of years. They used techniques like fire hunting, where one hunter would blind the alligator with a torch while another speared it. Alligators were then cooked in various ways, such as roasting or frying. Over time, Seminole alligator hunting became a tourist attraction.
Capture alligators back in the day, they would use it to provide for their families, so they developed techniques over the years,
evolving into a spectacle for visitors. Garum, the Roman Empire's favorite condiment. Garum, a fermented fish sauce made from fish guts like anchovies or mackerel, was a staple in the Roman Empire. Despite its unappealing origin, garum added a rich, savory flavor to Roman dishes and became the empire's favorite condiment. Its popularity was so immense that it spurred the development of coastal cities focused on fish processing and trade, helping to strengthen the Roman Empire's vast trade networks. Boiled calf's head. In Victorian England, boiled calf's head was a controversial dish, often served as the centerpiece at large feasts. The preparation involved boiling the entire head, sometimes leaving the skin on and even using the brain to create another dish. While this unsettling meal might seem strange today, it was a common and divisive part of Victorian dining, reflecting the era's different attitudes toward food. French nobility's extravagant dining habits. French nobility, especially King Louis XIV, were known for their extravagant dining habits. While the common people struggled with hunger, the nobility indulged in lavish feasts. Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, would dine publicly in a grand ritual called the Grand Couvert, where he consumed vast amounts of food, including multiple courses of meat, soup, salad, and pastries. His excessive eating contributed to his health problems, including obesity and gangrene. Viking milk, and Native American encounters. In the Norse Vinland saga, Viking explorers, led by Leif Erikson, encountered Native Americans who had never seen milk before. The Vikings introduced milk as part of their trade, but since many Native Americans were lactose intolerant, they became ill from drinking it. This unpleasant experience, combined with cultural misunderstandings, may have contributed to tensions and ultimately led to the Vikings' departure from North America. Bizarre food trends among French elites. In the 18th century, French elites were known for their bizarre food trends, serving unusual dishes like chicken stuffed with lamb bladders and goose liver filled with fat. They delighted in shocking their guests with these odd culinary creations. This era's quirky food trends laid the groundwork for some of today's exotic French dishes, such as pig's feet and ox tongue, which are now considered delicacies. Russian dog food controversy. In a controversial case, Russian soldiers were reportedly fed dog food disguised as premium beef. In 2011, Major Igor Matveev revealed that some canned food labeled as high-quality beef was dog food. His whistleblowing led to his dismissal and a prison sentence. Despite the scandal, the Russian Interior Ministry denied the claims, and no further information about the incident or the quality of the food has emerged. The Four Fingers of Death and Vomilet. Two notorious MREs have gained infamy among soldiers: the Four Fingers of Death and the Vomilet. The Four Fingers of Death, a menu with beef frankfurters, was so disliked that it earned its grim nickname. The frankfurters, often slimy and unappetizing, were widely disliked. Similarly, the Vomilet, a veggie omelet, was reviled for its bland taste and unpleasant texture. These meals remain memorable for their poor reception among troops. Facik. Ancient Egyptians, who had abundant fish from the Nile, enjoyed a dish called facik. This traditional meal involves fermented, dried, and salted fish, which was often sealed in jars and found in tombs. Despite its strong smell and distinctive flavor, facik was a popular way to preserve and enjoy fish. Mock turtle soup. In Victorian Britain, turtle soup was a delicacy, but due to high demand and limited supply, most people couldn't access it. To satisfy this craving, chefs created mock turtle soup using ingredients like beef, oysters, and ham, with a calf's head as a key component.
Would you like to try some mock turtle soup?
Of course, it's made by you.
Mock turtle, so it's not real turtle. It's actually a beef broth with calf's head in it.
They boiled the head to make a broth, adding the meat and sometimes the brain. While it likely didn't taste like a real turtle, it was a convincing substitute for the time eel pie. Eel pie was a surprisingly popular dish in New England in the 18th century, despite the eel's slippery, snake-like appearance. Colonists would catch eels using lobsters as bait, which were then considered low-class food. Though eels were prepared in various ways, eel pie became a favorite. While smoked eel might be more palatable today, eel pie is a dish many would hope never makes a comeback in modern cuisine. English ketchup. English ketchup, a peculiar sauce from the 18th century, is far from the familiar tomato version we know today. Inspired by an Asian sauce, this concoction included ingredients like mushrooms, walnuts, anchovies, and even oysters. While it may sound intriguing on paper, the odd mix likely didn't win many fans. It's no wonder this distant cousin of tomato ketchup faded into obscurity, leaving us to wonder whoever thought it was a good idea. Pork scraps. In 18th century America, nothing from a pig went to waste, leading to the creation of pork scraps, a dish made from leftover parts like organs, tails, and feet. These scraps were cooked with cornmeal, forming a hearty meal popular in the mid-Atlantic colonies. Surprisingly, this dish has endured over time, now known as scrapple, and remains a favorite in some regions, showing the resourcefulness of early American cooks, beaver tail and squirrel. In the 18th century, frontier hunters turned to beaver tails and squirrels as practical sources of protein. Beaver tail, though not a first choice, was eaten out of necessity by trappers due to its high fat content. Squirrel meat, already part of European diets, was prepared in various ways, from roasting to making pies. Surprisingly, squirrel pie with duck sauce was a delicacy. Pelicans, large birds that primarily eat fish, were eaten by ancient Egyptians despite their strong fishy flavor. Though their taste might seem unappealing to us today, Egyptians valued pelican meat and eggs. Historical records don't specify how they were prepared, but it suggested that cooking them for longer might help reduce their intense fish-like taste. Hedgehogs. In ancient Egypt, hedgehogs were depicted in art, often shown in hunting scenes or as offerings. Some interpretations suggest they symbolized rebirth due to their hibernation habits. Despite this, they were eaten as wild game. Egyptians likely coated hedgehogs with clay before baking them, which would help remove their spikes. This method of preparation reflects their practical approach to using available resources, even if it seems surprising today. Pigeons. In ancient Egypt, pigeons were more than just urban nuisances. They were valued for their role as messengers and for their meat. Historical records show that Egyptians bred pigeons for communication, using them to relay messages and signal incoming ships. They also consumed pigeons, preparing them in a dish called hammam mashi, where the birds were stuffed with seasoned rice or cracked wheat and then fried or grilled. Pawpaw. The pawpaw, a fruit native to the eastern United States, offers a tropical flavor reminiscent of mangoes, bananas, and lime. Growing in regions like upstate New York, Georgia, and Missouri, this unique fruit has been enjoyed by Native Americans for thousands of years. It's often called the poor man's banana and has a custard-like texture. Despite its rich history, the pawpaw remains relatively unknown, but interest in cultivating it is growing. Foie gras. The practice of making foie gras, where geese or ducks are fattened for their livers, dates back over 4,500 years to ancient Egypt. Egyptians observed that geese and ducks naturally fattened their livers before migration and replicated this by force-feeding their figs. This technique, now known as gavage, is still used today in French cuisine. Historical frescoes from Egyptian tombs show this ancient method of producing foie gras. Chocolate's journey to French nobility. Chocolate's journey to French nobility began with Anne of Austria, who introduced the treat to the French court. Her son, Louis XIV, helped make chocolate a staple among the Parisian elite. Later, Marie Antoinette, known for her sweet tooth, brought a personal chocolate chef from Vienna, who crafted various chocolate delights for her, including the famous hot chocolate with orange blossoms, a refreshing drink enjoyed exclusively by the wealthy. Pickled oysters. In Victorian times, pickled oysters were a popular, affordable aphrodisiac. Without refrigeration, fresh oysters spoiled quickly, so pickling was the go-to method for preservation. For just a penny, couples could buy 4 pickled oysters, making them an accessible option for those looking to boost their romantic lives. Though not as fresh as modern oysters, these preserved delicacies were a budget-friendly way for couples to add some spark to their relationship. Gruel was the basic, bland meal served in Victorian workhouses, made by thinning oatmeal with water until it became a sloppy, watery mixture. Intended as a minimal sustenance for the poor in exchange for labor, gruel was a symbol of the harsh conditions in these institutions. Famously depicted in Charles Dickens's Oliver Twist, gruel represented the meager and unsatisfying rations that workhouse residents endured daily.
Please, sir, I want some more.
Cabbage pie. In Victorian England, cabbage pie was an early attempt at vegetarian fare, a rarity in a meat-focused era. This simple dish featured boiled and mashed vegetables like cabbage, onions, leeks, potatoes, and cheese. Though bland by today's standards, it served as a filling meal for vegetarians. However, it was often mocked by meat eaters, with one 1893 article humorously questioning whether a cabbage pie could ever fuel a prizefighter. calf's foot jelly. For those who couldn't afford luxurious desserts, calf's foot jelly was a common treat. Made by boiling the hoof to create a gelatinous substance, it was once thought to have healing properties. While calf's foot jelly has fallen out of favor, modern gelatin, used in products like Jell-O, is made from boiling animal bones and skins, connecting today's sweets to this old-fashioned delicacy. History of hardtack bread.
This is a ship's biscuit. It's hardtack. It's pure condensed nutrition.
Hardtack bread has a long history, dating back to ancient Rome when it was known as bacellum. This durable bread, still used in modern times, was known for its longevity, often lasting up to 25 years if stored properly. Used by soldiers in the American Civil War and called sea biscuits by pirates, it was also known as molar breakers during World War I due to its extreme hardness. Native American alcoholic beverages. In South America, the Inca created chicha, a fermented corn beer used in rituals for centuries. Today, you can still find it in Cusco. In North America, tribes like the Apache also brewed their own versions of chicha long before Columbus arrived. Stored grains or corn, exposed to airborne yeast in warm, humid conditions, naturally fermented, turning into beer. This process was an ancient way of making alcoholic beverages. Origins of beer through agricultural practices. Agriculture developed independently in several regions, including Mexico and Central America, about 7,000 years ago. With a surplus of corn from farming, someone likely discovered how to ferment it into alcohol. This early practice of turning corn into beer reflects the origins of alcoholic beverages in these ancient agricultural societies. Tiswin. Production among Native American tribes. The Apache tribe, known for their nomadic lifestyle in the southwestern United States, traditionally made tiswin, a mildly fermented beer. They used sprouted maize kernels, mashed and sweetened with ingredients like mesquite flour or syrup, and then fermented it in clay pots. Similarly, the Tono O'odham tribe in the Sonoran Desert created tiswin from the saguaro cactus fruit, turning it into a syrup that fermented into a wine-like beverage for their annual festival. Ancient use of tiswin in ceremonies. Tiswin was used in ceremonies and rituals long before Europeans arrived in the Americas. In 2007, pottery from an ancient Pueblo site revealed traces of tiswin, showing its role in blessings, prayers, and rites of passage. It was also used in healing ceremonies for purification, reflecting its deep cultural significance in Native American traditions. Innovative desserts in the French court. When Polish Princess Marie Leszczyńska married Louis XV, she brought her chef, Nicolas Storer, who introduced the French court to the baba cake. This simple cake, soaked in fine wines, became an instant hit. The 18th century saw a rise in intricate desserts among French royalty, with layered pastries filled with jams and creams becoming the norm. Marie also introduced meringue, a dessert loved by her daughter-in-law, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette's culinary influences. Marie Antoinette wasn't just known for her love of chocolate. She also played a key role in popularizing Dom Pérignon champagne among French elites. Her extravagant New Year's balls were never complete without bottles of this now famous bubbly. Her father-in-law, Louis XV, shared a similar passion for hot cocoa, even preparing it himself. Marie's culinary influences helped shape the decadent dining culture of the French court, making her a true trendsetter in luxury cuisine. The introduction of cocoa to Europe. When Christopher Columbus returned to Europe in 1502, he brought cacao beans from the Americas. Initially overlooked, these beans soon revolutionized European cuisine. By 1521, Hernán Cortés introduced a sweetened cacao drink to Spain, which became an instant hit. As its popularity spread, even among monks, it sparked a debate in Christianity about fasting. Eventually, a Catholic cardinal declared that drinking chocolate did not break the fast, making it a favorite among European aristocracy. Turtle soup. Turtle soup was a luxurious dish reserved for the wealthy in America and Europe during the 18th century. Rich in butter and wine, it was a heavy and decadent meal, perfect for lunch or dinner. While still part of Philadelphia's culinary tradition today, making turtle soup comes with risks. Using the wrong type of turtle can lead to food poisoning or even salmonella, so caution is essential. Introduction to military rations. Military rations have evolved significantly over time. In the past, soldiers ate diverse and sometimes unappetizing foods like horse milk, dried meat, and even dog food. Advances in food science and technology have greatly improved the quality and preservation of military rations. Today, armies benefit from sophisticated nutrition planning and packaging, which ensures that soldiers receive balanced, long-lasting, and more palatable meals. Meat preservation challenges in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, the hot and dry climate made it hard to keep meat fresh. Without refrigerators, people had to eat meat quickly or preserve it using salt and spices. Because the preservation methods were not always effective, especially for the poor, they often had to mask unpleasant odors and flavors. This historical challenge highlights the importance of modern refrigeration, which was invented by Oliver Evans in 1805. Napoleon's philosophy on army nutrition. Napoleon Bonaparte, a legendary general, famously said, "An army marches on its stomach," emphasizing the importance of food for military success. Although historical records show that Napoleon's troops often had to scavenge or purchase their rations, his belief in the critical role of nourishment influenced modern military practices. Today's soldiers benefit from advanced, scientifically designed rations that support their health and performance in the field. Modern military rations, MREs. Modern military rations, known as MREs, meals ready to eat, are designed to meet soldiers' daily needs with about 4,000 calories per meal. These rations must be durable, remaining edible through extreme conditions like heat, cold, or moisture. Advances in food science have made it possible to provide quality, varied meals in compact, long-lasting packaging. This innovation ensures soldiers receive balanced nutrition without needing a chef in the field. Global variations in military food. Military rations vary globally to match local tastes and needs. Australian troops enjoy Vegemite, while Spanish soldiers might have squid with green beans. Germans get rye bread and goulash, Estonians receive chicken pâté, and Italians often have a shot of grappa. The United States introduced MREs in 1981, which allowed for diverse, portable meals to be enjoyed by soldiers worldwide, adapting to different culinary preferences and conditions. Development and evolution of MREs. The technology behind MREs has advanced significantly, allowing for a variety of foods to be stored in compact, portable packets. In a large kitchen in Massachusetts, meals for soldiers are developed, not just prepared. With the rise of the internet, MREs are no longer exclusive to the military. You can now buy them online, record your reactions, and share them on YouTube, while soldiers and veterans also discuss MREs on forums and blogs. Unpopular beef, MREs, and dehydrated patties. Unpopular beef MREs included dehydrated patties that were difficult to prepare. These patties needed to be rehydrated with water and then left in sunlight or similar conditions until they were ready to eat. This process was complicated and often led to inconsistent results. Despite their intended use for soldiers, these beef patties were poorly received, with many finding them unappetizing and challenging to prepare. Mongolian Budog. Mongolian Budog is a unique cooking method used by the Mongol armies to prepare food while traveling. Instead of pots, they cook whole animals, like goats, by removing the organs and stuffing the meat back into the skin along with hot stones. The stuffed carcass is roasted over a fire, cooking it from both inside and out. This method allowed the Mongols to cook efficiently while on the move. Pizza MRE and ancient military rations. In September 2018, food engineers introduced pizza to military rations, a move celebrated for boosting soldier morale and combating meat fatigue. This innovation contrasts sharply with ancient military rations. For instance, Mesopotamians provided soldiers with barley, oil, and wool, while Egyptians allowed soldiers to bring whatever they could. Romans pioneered rationing, providing specific food amounts and even grinding grains with hand mills to sustain their large armies. World War II rations. During World War II, the United States troops had various rations. A rations were fresh or frozen foods prepared in kitchens. B rations were canned or dehydrated foods needing cooking. C rations were pre-cooked meals in cans for combat troops. K rations were compact packs for airborne troops. And D rations were energy-dense chocolate bars, though tough to chew. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.